Am I the a-hole for excluding my stepmom from helping plan my wedding? My stepmom has been married to my dad since I was 7. She was the other woman in my parents' marriage, and she was also supposed to be my mom's best friend. I didn't know her very well pre-affair reveal. She lived in another city, and apparently most of my life and all of my sister's life, she and our dad had been sleeping together. This is not something I was aware of as a kid. My sister and I knew we didn't have parents who got along after the divorce. We could sense the tension. Once or twice we had an idea mom hated our stepmom, but she never said or did anything directly in front of us. The vibe was just there. It did not stop us loving our stepmom. We found out what happened when we were 17 and 19. We felt so bad for our mom, but our stepmom had always been good to us, and dad was good to us, so we tried not to let it change things. After my fiancé and I announced our engagement in social media, my stepmom wrote a post about how she dreamed of this day when I was born, how she had been so excited to watch her very first baby grow up and get married, how she and dad had talked about it before I could walk. She tagged my dad, but she also tagged some friends who knew her back then who were also friends with my mom. The post was distasteful. It honestly was exposing that she had always planned to have the affair. It did change how I felt. I also told her to take it down and apologize, and she told me she did not regret the post. And why wasn't I happy she loved me that much? I accused her of trying to rub it in my mom's face, that she had stabbed her in the back and won the love of my sister and me, after betraying her with our dad like she did. She told me it was 20 years ago, and mom should be over it. I decided not to include her in any wedding planning. She's a wedding planner as a profession, and I know she would want to, but I'm not happy with her post. Mom was so happy when I told her. But when my stepmom wanted to know when she'd be dress shopping with me and what I want her help with, I told her I did not want her involved in any wedding planning. She and my dad are saying I am overreacting and should not be treating her this way when she has been a damn good parent to me. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. She's creepy as heck. Her firstborn? It's like she's been planning on trying to take your mom's life from the beginning. She's sick and shouldn't be anywhere near your wedding. That's how it read to me. It also read to me like she had planned the affair with my dad before anything had happened for real. I was weirded out too about stepmom's post as well. Her firstborn? OP, your bio mom gets an award for being an amazing parent. She put your happiness above her own. Go mom. Not the a-hole. People's actions have consequences. Your stepmom's actions 20 years ago have consequences now. That is something your stepmom needs to deal with, not you. I need to say, go bio mom, one more time. That had to have been extremely difficult for your bio mom, but she did it for you and your sibling. Not the a-hole. My God, how dense is this woman? She practically put it out there for everyone to see that she knowingly was having an affair with your dad while your mom was pregnant with you. If this was me, she'd be lucky to get a damned invite to the wedding. Tell her she is reaping the consequences of mess around and find out. 20 years later. I'm practically spitting fire at this woman's audacity. She and my dad are saying I am overreacting and should not be treating her this way when she has been a damn good parent to me. No, she is not being a good parent to you by putting up that post, knowing it was going to hurt your mom. That's being a something I can write or I will get banned. Not the a-hole. Her mask slipped, and now you know who she really is. Let them threaten to not come. Let them insult you and your mom. Let them make themselves out to be victims. Your mother was not only screwed over by the two closest people in your life, but she was going to be pushed out by them too for your wedding. Her post showed that she would make herself the mother of the bride. She was going to take it over. I wouldn't even invite her. This exactly. Please keep any future children away from this woman. She gives the hand that rocks the cradle vibes. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my mom that her son isn't my brother? I, 22 male, have never had a great relationship with my half-brother, 29 male, mom's first child, because he hates me. I am the result of my parents' infidelity and unfaithfulness to their first spouses. Both my parents were married and had kids. Mom had 29 male and dad had 33 female and 32 male ages today. I'm not an affair child though, since my parents divorced their spouses first and then had me 2 years later. While I had/have a great relationship with my father's kids, it wasn't the same when it came to my mom's child. I guess he was having a hard time because of the divorce, and as he saw me as the result of it, I became his anger target. He treated me so poorly, called me names, etc. My mom scolded him and my dad hated the way he treated me, but he never stopped. He was on weekends with us, but when he turned 16, my mom and his dad decided to not make him come to our house anymore. So my mom went out on weekends to spend time with him. I haven't seen him a lot since then, just like 2 or 3 times, and the last time was for my grandma's funeral December last year. He and my mom have a great relationship though, which I'm happy for them, but I no longer consider him my brother because of how awful he treated me. He asked me to meet a couple of months ago at his daughter's birthday, but I didn't go. My mom says that he wanted to publicly apologize. I'm graduating college this December and I have decided to invite just my siblings. I don't consider 29 male a sibling. And when my mom heard what I was planning, she asked me why I was playing favorites by excluding him. I told her that I don't consider him family because of how he treated me. She says that she understands how I feel, but it happened when he was a child and having a hard time. He has changed and wanted to apologize to me. I told her I didn't care, and for me, he is just my mom's child but not a brother to me. And I stated I only have 2 siblings. And she proceeded to cry. It happened 4 days ago, and she has barely talked to me. And my dad says I was a bit rude about this. The only reason for him to publicly apologize, if that was actually his intent, is to put pressure on you to accept. This is for his own benefit, not yours. If he wants to apologize, he can do it privately, not the a-hole. He had a lot of time to apologize. Agreed that the public apology was a power move to force the acceptance. Not the a-hole. Keep your distance from him if you chose. He had 13 years to work up the desire to apologize to OP, and yet OP is expected to just forgive him instantaneously? Not the a-hole. If he's sorry for how he treated you, he could write you a letter, or just tell you himself that he wants to apologize instead of randomly inviting you to stuff you're supposed to pretend you have a normal sibling relationship, let alone trying to drag you into some weird public show of remorse. And even then, you're under no obligation to give him a chance, when nothing in your entire experience of dealing with him has primed you to expect anything good. He spent your whole life building this rift, and is going to have to live with it. Public show of remorse is clearly to make himself good. Older brother may be repentant, but being apologetic doesn't entitle you to forgiveness. Older brother needs to accept that he was a massive a-hole and find a way to apologize to you remotely, and accept that it's up to you to decide if you want to let him in. Sucks for your mom and her image of a perfect family, but she's the one most at fault for setting up the situation here. Her tears are, hopefully, ones of guilt and self-reflection. But I'd expect it's more a pity party. Enjoy your day with the family you choose, and don't back down. Your feelings are valid and you don't have to defend them. You only have to assert them boldly and proudly, not the a-hole. Is he repentant? Or does he just want others to think he is? I can understand, but obviously not condone, his behavior as a child. But if you want to apologize to someone for treating them awfully for years, you don't do it publicly. By 29, he knows, or should know, how to properly apologize to someone. He knows you don't do it in a situation where they're ambushed and have pressure to accept. It's his behavior as an adult that gets me. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my stepdaughter she's lucky I treat her as my own? I, 44 female, have 2 children with my husband. 2 boy and 3 girl, and a bonus daughter, Emily, 18 female. My stepdaughter has been living with us for 6 months this past year. She moved in because she told us her mother kicked her out since they didn't have a good relationship, and her mother said she was too problematic. Since her moving in, I've been very welcoming and I've spent more than enough money to help Emily get on her feet. This includes work shoes, comforter sets for her bed, hair products, clothing, and underwear. We told her that she could live here as long as she needed, but since her moving here, she's become a burden to both my children and I. My children and I are used to a regimen of waking up, spending time with my husband, him dropping them off to daycare, and he goes off to work and when he gets home. I cook, clean, and we spend the rest of our night with the kids. My stepdaughter has become a burden. She has become entitled, and whenever she needs anything financially, she will ask either myself or my husband. When I bought her work uniform, she kept the job for 3 weeks and then quit because she didn't like her co-workers. She has taken most of my savings, taken the time from my children to my husband, and used that time for herself, and had been extremely unappreciative for what I've done for her. I told her she needed to figure out a living plan because she is 18 and a legal adult and that she needs to start adulting. She mentioned how she was in school, online, and I told her that wasn't enough since there are more hours in the day, and she can do more than just be lazy all day and use her computer as an excuse. She told me that I am jealous of her relationship with my husband, and I reminded her that she's living in our home rent-free. I told her that she should be lucky that I treat her as my own, because not everyone would do such with their stepchild. Editing for info. My husband thinks I'm wrong for saying this to her and that what I did was harsh, but I don't see how when she's 18 years old and she's grown. Now for the top comments. You're writing the narrative, but you still come across as the a-hole. First off, since school isn't enough for her to do, why aren't you telling us about your own job? Because from the sound of it, you're a stay-at-home mom but without kids. So just a stay-at-home wife? Also, it easily sounds like she worked at a toxic workplace, which is especially common at chains where uniforms need to be bought. What do you mean with taking the time from my children and use that time for herself? So she's being social with you guys? And out competing a 2- and 3-year-old for attention? You believe that yourself? Also, not everyone would do such with their stepchild, except everyone who would want a good relationship with a child's partner absolutely would treat the stepchild like that. You're the a-hole. Yep, if her husband drops the kids at daycare, what is Opie doing all day? Posting nonsense on Reddit and dreaming up ways to destroy her family. Marinating in resentment. It's harsh because she isn't taking time away from his kids. She is his kid. This is something Dad needs to handle. You're the a-hole. And Opie certainly doesn't treat her like Opie's child. You're the a-hole, Opie, and completely oblivious. You're the a-hole. You most certainly did not treat her as one of your own. If you did, then you wouldn't have said that to her. You also told her she was living in your house. It's her dad's house, therefore it should be her home too. You do sound jealous that she's there interacting with her father in the evenings. You also don't sound like you were buying her extravagant things. You sound like you're providing just the basics. Everything you're complaining about is a typical teenager. Your children will be the same way. Last story. Am I the a-hole for having my girlfriend leave for helping my daughter? My daughter is 16 and has been really struggling with eating disorder. It's more managed now, but before it wasn't. Once I knew it took her to the doctor, a therapist, etc., etc. The doctor has told us multiple times to, yes, eat what's needed for nutrition, but it's best to monitor it quietly so it's not like I'm forcing her to eat. And she's eating because she wants to, not being forced. Also, because it won't last if you force, so I'm doing it that way. I've been with my girlfriend for about a year and met my daughter a little while ago. And I guess they got close, and my daughter told her that she had an eating disorder, but from what I know, nothing more, nothing less. My girlfriend has been trying to help with this, and it would have to be effective helping. If it wasn't forceful helping. You know when you kind of force your helpfulness onto other people, but not really in the way they need? I do know when my daughter eats. She has meals that either she or I make, and she eats those. So when they're gone, I can see. The point being not to ask if she ate or not, because as the doctor said, it's a reminder, and she doesn't need to be reminded of what she has. And emotional support will do. Asking her if she ate won't. The other day, my girlfriend continued to go to my daughter and ask her if she ate, at what time and what she ate. This is bad, but the worst is asking how much calories it was. I pulled her aside and told her that she cannot ask those questions to her, and if she wants to help, to please try to do it in a different way. Take her out, socialize. They both like movies, books, shopping, bowling, etc., etc. They have a lot of the same interests. She seemed like she understood. Until I overheard her asking the same question again. She went into my daughter's room and asked her, "Did you eat?" My daughter said yeah, then proceeded to bombard her with questions about what she ate and the calories. At one point, she asked to see the food bowl so she could see if it was good in there. I brought her out of the room and told her that she either needed to stop asking those questions or leave, because those are in no way appropriate, kind, or helpful, and I shouldn't have to ask you multiple times when she knows it's not helping. She got mad saying that I was neglecting her needs, because she should know if she ate. I said I know she ate. There's a reason she has meals in there. Even if she didn't, she has no right to ask her that. I explained how I knew before this, so she was aware. She started getting upset, saying I was kicking her out for helping. She didn't realize she wasn't, but then still said it was just helping my daughter. And it was clear she was not even close to even trying to understand that she was not helping. That's why I told her she needed to go. I've told this to some family, but they said that she didn't know, and I just needed to be patient. But how many times do I have to explain the same thing until she knows? Edit, hey, to anyone saying, oh well, what if your daughter doesn't mind? Let her if she doesn't mind it. Even if she didn't, which she does. I'm not going to enable my daughter to check calories. Do we understand that that is part of an eating disorder? And not being sorry in doing so, never mind deliberately doing what the doctor said not to do. Not stay whole. You've explained to her several times that her helping isn't actually helping. I'd personally sit her down and say these are boundaries you cannot cross. She's not her mother. She hasn't spoken to the doctors with you or your daughter. If she can't respect you or your daughter's boundaries, then I suggest you call it a day. Because all that's going to happen is she will make your daughter's condition worse. You're a good dad and your daughter needs you. So step up and put your foot down. But how many times do I have to explain the same thing until she knows? I think you've reached the limit of attempting to explain why her actions are harmful. Your girlfriend isn't interested in listening, nor changing her behavior. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. You are prioritizing your daughter as you should be doing. And as someone who has struggled with an eating disorder / currently working through it, such intrusive questions are very uncomfortable and might make one spiral. Your girlfriend needs to respect boundaries. And mentioning calories? It sounds like she doesn't respect you nor your daughter, and instead is trying to make it about herself so she can feel better. Some people need to get told a few times to make themselves realize that what they are doing isn't helping, but it seems like she doesn't care. I agree, and I really don't think it's that hard to understand. Just don't ask that. I don't understand why everyone's saying it's so hard.